What if I told you that some of the most attractive people in the world aren't necessarily the best-looking ones? They're the ones who understand something most people completely miss: the hidden psychology behind conversation. They know exactly which words create instant fascination, which phrases make people lean in closer, and how to turn ordinary small talk into something unforgettable. Today, you're going to discover 7 scientifically backed phrases that tap into deep psychological triggers. These aren't pickup lines or manipulation tactics. They're genuine conversation tools that create authentic connection and make you absolutely magnetic to others. By the end of this, you'll understand why some people seem effortlessly charismatic, while others struggle to make any lasting impression. The best part? The 7th phrase is so counterintuitive that most people would never think to use it, yet it's the most powerful one of all. Before we dive into the phrases themselves, you need to understand what's really happening in the human brain during conversation. When someone finds you interesting, 3 key psychological processes are at work: curiosity loops, emotional resonance, and social validation. Curiosity loops are mental gaps that demand to be filled. When you create a question in someone's mind without immediately answering it, their brain becomes obsessed with finding the answer. Emotional resonance happens when you make someone feel truly understood at a deeper level. And social validation occurs when you demonstrate that you have standards and aren't desperately seeking approval. Most people approach conversation completely backwards. They try to impress by talking about themselves, give obvious compliments, or ask boring questions like, "What do you do for work?" But magnetic communicators do the opposite. They create intrigue, show genuine interest in unique ways, and maintain an air of selectivity that makes others want to earn their attention. Phrase 1. There's something different about you, but I can't quite figure out what it is. This phrase is psychological gold because it accomplishes 3 things simultaneously. First, it creates use this when you genuinely sense something intriguing about someone, but can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe it's their energy, their way of speaking, or how they carry themselves. The key is authenticity. Only say this when you actually feel it. Phrase 2. I have a theory about you. This phrase is incredibly powerful because it positions you as someone who thinks deeply about people, rather than just making surface-level observations. It also creates immediate tension and curiosity. Their brain will be racing with questions. What's your theory? Is it good or bad? How did you form it so quickly? Here's how to use it effectively. After talking with someone for a few minutes, you might say, "I have a theory about you. I think you're the type of person who," and then share an insightful observation about their personality, motivations, or approach to life. For example, "I have a theory about you. I think you're someone who appears easygoing on the surface, but you actually have incredibly high standards for the people you let into your inner circle." This shows you're paying attention to subtleties and thinking beyond the obvious. The key is making your theory somewhat unexpected, but accurate. If you nail it, you'll create an instant sense of connection and understanding. Phrase 3. Most people would assume X about you, but I think you're actually Y. This phrase demonstrates that you see beyond surface appearances and social masks. Everyone feels misunderstood to some degree. So when you acknowledge the difference between how they appear and who they really are, you create powerful emotional resonance. For instance, you might say, "Most people would assume you're this super confident person who has everything figured out. But I think you're actually someone who questions everything and is constantly trying to understand the world better." This works because it shows you're not making the same assumptions everyone else does. You're looking deeper and seeing something others miss. It makes them feel truly seen and understood, which is one of the strongest foundations for connection. be careful to make your deeper observation positive or at least neutral. The goal is to make them feel understood, not exposed or judged. Phrase 4. You remind me of someone, but in the best possible way. This phrase creates instant intrigue because it suggests familiarity and positive association without being specific. Their curiosity will be piqued. Who do they remind you of? Why is it in the best possible way? What qualities are you seeing? The beauty of this phrase is that it implies you have positive experiences with someone similar to them, which creates a favorable first impression by association. It also suggests you're someone who has interesting people in your life, which raises your own social value. You can follow up with something like, "You have this same energy as my most interesting friend." Or, "You approach things the same way as someone I really respect." This keeps the mystery alive while providing just enough information to satisfy some of their curiosity. Phrase 5. I'm curious about something, but I don't know if I should ask. This phrase is masterful because it creates a double curiosity loop. They want to know what you're curious about, and they also want to know why you're hesitant to ask. It suggests the question is either very personal or very interesting, both of which make them want to hear it even more. The hesitation is key because it shows you're thoughtful about boundaries and not someone who asks inappropriate questions. This makes them more likely to give you permission to ask and more likely to answer honestly when you do. Follow up with something like, "I was wondering what drives you to get up in the morning," or "I'm curious about what you were like as a kid versus who you are now." These questions show genuine interest in understanding them as a person, not just making small talk. Phrase 6. I don't think you show this side of yourself to many people. This phrase acknowledges that they're revealing something authentic or vulnerable, which makes them feel special and understood. It also suggests you're perceptive enough to recognize when someone is being genuine versus putting on a social mask. Use this when someone shares something personal, shows genuine emotion, or reveals a different aspect of their personality. It validates their authenticity and encourages them to continue being real with you. For example, if someone who seems very put together admits to feeling uncertain about something, you might say, "I don't think you show this vulnerable side to many people, but I appreciate that you're being real with me." This creates intimacy and trust because you're acknowledging their authenticity and showing that you value it. Phrase 7. I'm not sure we'd get along. This is the most counterintuitive phrase of all, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. While everyone else is trying to show how compatible they are, you're expressing doubt about compatibility. The key is saying this with a slight smile and playful energy, not in a mean or dismissive way. You might follow up with, "You seem like you'd challenge me too much," or "I think you'd see right through all my tricks." This works because it shows you're selective, have standards, and aren't desperately trying to connect with everyone you meet. It also creates a fun challenge dynamic where they become invested in changing your mind. Use this sparingly and only when the conversation has good energy. It should feel playful, not rejecting. The psychology behind why these work. All of these phrases tap into fundamental human psychology. They create curiosity gaps that the brain feels compelled to fill. They demonstrate observational skills and emotional intelligence, which are highly attractive qualities. They show you're selective and have standards, which increases your perceived value. Most importantly, they make the other person feel seen and understood in a unique way. Everyone craves being truly known and appreciated for who they really are, not just their surface-level qualities. The power of these phrases isn't just in the words themselves, it's in how you deliver them. They need to feel natural and spontaneous, not rehearsed or calculated. The best way to achieve this is to actually be genuinely curious about people and interested in understanding them. Practice paying attention to subtleties in how people express themselves, what they're passionate about, and the contradictions between their public persona and their authentic self. When you're genuinely interested, these phrases will feel natural because they reflect your actual thoughts and observations. Remember, the goal isn't to manipulate or impress people, it's to create genuine connection by showing up as someone who pays attention, thinks deeply, and isn't afraid to express authentic interest in others. Understanding these phrases is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you start implementing them in your daily conversations. Start with one or two that feel most natural to you, and practice using them in low-stakes situations. Pay attention to how people respond, both verbally and non-verbally. Notice how the energy of conversations changes when you focus on creating curiosity and connection rather than trying to impress or please. Most importantly, remember that becoming magnetically attractive through conversation is a skill that improves with practice. The more you focus on genuinely understanding and connecting with others, the more natural these techniques will become. If you want to master the art of magnetic conversation and discover even more advanced techniques for creating instant connection, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Next week, I'll be sharing the 3 conversation mistakes that instantly kill attraction and how to avoid them completely. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.